Tonight on Reporting Scotland, a man who abused women in an underground dungeon at his Highland home is banned from travelling, the first sanction of its kind imposed by a Scottish court. The court ruled Kevin Booth carried out the attacks, which a sheriff described in one instance as being nothing other than torture. Also on tonight's programme, one mum's warning about the dangers of social media. It comes after her 8-year-old daughter was the victim of sextortion by someone posing as fellow primary pupils on Snapchat. An ex-police officer who admitted communicating indecently with 3 former colleagues is put on the sex offenders register.
Oh, he's a handsome boy.
Hi. Oh no! Calls for more protections for our canine companions, just like Cooper there.
And coming up in tonight's sport, I'll be live from Rugby Park, where Rangers interim boss Barry Ferguson takes charge for the first time against Kilmarnock.
Hello, I'm Laura Miller. Welcome to Wednesday's programme. A man who abused vulnerable women in an underground chamber at his remote Highland home has been given the first worldwide travel ban to be imposed by a Scottish court. Kevin Booth, who's in his 60s, carried out the attacks at his home in Caithness. A court ruling said he was responsible for a systematic course of conduct of acts of human trafficking and exploitation over many years. Booth travelled regularly abroad and recruited economically vulnerable women in a number of countries, then paid for them to travel to the UK. The travel ban, which was approved after Police Scotland raised a civil action, prevents Booth from travelling outside the UK for the next 5 years. Cameron Buttle sent this report, and a warning it contains details some viewers may find distressing.
This is Kevin Booth, a man who has just been banned from any travel anywhere in the world. That's because in this house he abused vulnerable women in an underground chamber hidden underneath a trapdoor. The house is hidden from all view at the end of a long private track in a remote part of the Highlands. The nearest place on the map is the small settlement of Altnabrek. This is as close as we can get to Booth's house. It's called Lochdu Lodge, and it's more than 10 miles up this single track road, totally private. And that is where he abused his victims, and sometimes he recorded it. One woman was said by police to be completely terrified in a video that lasted for 18 minutes. Another woman was subjected to a beating that lasted for 23 minutes. Women were restrained with handcuffs and chains and subjected to what's been described as punishment beatings, being beaten with objects and hit with canes. Police Scotland did try to prosecute Booth back in 2019 when they searched his home, but the case collapsed in 2021. Another complaint in 2023 led to the force bringing a rare civil action at Wick Sheriff Court. That has led to the ban preventing Booth from travelling anywhere for 5 years.
It is worrying that the evidence that's been shown hasn't been subject to a criminal prosecution because it looks pretty nasty, the stuff that's been going on, and it's only a civil action. However, the impact of the civil order is pretty significant on his behaviour, banning his travel activities, banning his activities in terms of hiring staff within his castle, and his behaviour is going to be closely monitored by the police. So although there's not a criminal conviction, the civil order is pretty significant in terms of his future behaviours.
Booth had already been found guilty of assaulting children in the early 90s. In 2002, he was jailed for 2 years for assaulting his au pair. Tonight, a spokesman for Police Scotland said they will use all options open to them to tackle trafficking and exploitation. Cameron Buttle, Reporting Scotland, Wick.
Well, our correspondent David Henderson is here. And David, many people at home will be wondering why there hasn't been a criminal trial in this case.
Yes, the court judgment reveals an appalling catalogue of cruelty by Kevin Booth carried out over many years, but it follows a civil court case, not a criminal trial. So Booth, who's a former teacher, remains free to live in that Highland Lodge where some of the abuse took place. There's no criminal sanction at this time. And Crown Office have issued a statement tonight which says their lawyers concluded back in 2021 there should be no further criminal proceedings at that time, but the Crown reserved the right to proceed in the future. So the door is still open if there's new evidence. That said, this civil court order is still a pretty serious effort to limit Booth's ability to traffic and exploit women in the future. He's banned from bringing women here from abroad. He must tell police anytime women visit his home, and he must surrender his passport so he can't travel overseas. It's all about controlling Booth in the years ahead, but it's not about bringing him to justice for the suffering he's already caused.
OK, David, thank you. And if you have been affected by any of the issues raised in this story, help and support is available at bbc.co.uk/action line. Or you can call for free at any time to hear recorded information on 0800 077 077. An Edinburgh mum is warning families to check their children's social media after her 8-year-old daughter was the victim of sextortion. The incident happened at home on a personal private device. Parents at Gilmerton Primary have been contacted by the school, informing them that someone has been impersonating pupils on Snapchat. Maura Kinnebra reports.
The Edinburgh parent has posted a warning urging families to be aware of a person she describes as a beast who's playing sick and perverted games with children. She says someone's been making fake accounts of her 8-year-old daughter and others, demanding embarrassing videos and pictures, hacking their phones and posting everything online. Now, the head teacher here at Gilmerton Primary has written to families to tell them a person has been impersonating pupils on Snapchat. Parents are being urged to check all pupils' social media accounts, to screenshot, block and report anything suspicious. The police say they're investigating several reports of indecent images being shared online. Snapchat have issued a statement saying any sexual exploitation of young people is horrific and illegal. It goes on to say Snapchat is for people aged 13 and over, and we have safeguards in place to prevent strangers from being able to easily find or search for teens, and their family centre also lets parents see who their teen is friends with and talking to.
Maura Kinnebra reporting. To some of the day's other stories now. And a wall has collapsed after an explosion at an electricity substation in Dundee city centre. The incident happened on North Lindsay Street near the Overgate Centre at about 10:40 this morning. No one was injured in the explosion, which Scottish and Southern electricity networks say was caused by a significant equipment failure. The area has been cordoned off. A DUP MP is calling on Celtic to take action against fans who held up a banner at last night's match against Aberdeen commemorating a former IRA man. It paid tribute to Brendan Bick McFarlane, who died at the weekend, describing him as a hero. McFarlane was jailed in 1976 for his part in a gun and bomb attack on a bar in Belfast, in which 5 people were killed. Cairngorm's funicular railway is set to return to service tomorrow following major repair work to fix the structure it sits in. The visitor attraction has faced numerous issues, with structural problems first identified more than 6 years ago, with over £25 million spent on repairs. Work is now back on track, with the railway, which is the highest in the UK, to reopen for the remainder of the current snow sports season. Now, a former police officer who admitted communicating indecently with women has avoided a jail sentence. A court heard Peter Fleming used sexualised language while he was serving in the Isle of Bute that made 3 female colleagues feel exceptionally uncomfortable. He was sentenced to unpaid work and placed on the sex offenders register for 2 years. Katie Hunter reports.
Peter Fleming was a police officer for 17 years. This morning he arrived at Greenock Sheriff Court under an umbrella with loved ones supporting him. There was a minor scuffle between them and the media on the way in. Last month, Fleming admitted 3 charges of communicating indecently with female colleagues while serving on the Isle of Bute. This morning he was back in court to find out his punishment. Sentencing Peter Fleming, Sheriff Varney said the former officer's sexualised language had made the women in this case feel exceptionally uncomfortable, and they had quite clearly been affected by his behaviour. The former officer was ordered to carry out 160 hours unpaid work and given a community payback order with supervision for 24 months. As he was sentenced, some members of the public in court shouted "shocking" and "beast." They were told to leave. Peter Fleming has resigned from Police Scotland, and the force has previously commended his victims for coming forward. In a statement today, the service said Peter Fleming's actions go against everything Police Scotland stands for. It's right that policing is held to high standards at all times. No matter what position you hold, these crimes will always be fully investigated. A small number of people waited outside court for Fleming to leave. As the former officer was escorted out by serving officers, there were further scuffles. They included a police officer pushing a BBC camera crew. In the middle, a former police officer. Now on the sex offenders register. Katie Hunter reporting Scotland, Greenock.
And in response to the footage involving a police officer and a BBC camera crew, a Police Scotland spokesperson said, "We are aware of a video and its contents are being assessed." The First Minister is calling for politicians to unite against the far right. In a media conference at his official residence Bute House, John Swinney said it was time to draw a line in the sand against the politics of fear. He accused Nigel Farage and his Reform Party of being Russian apologists. Reform says Mr Swinney is trying to deflect from the SNP's awful record in government. Our political correspondent Lindsay Bewes has more.
Fresh from passing his budget with the help of other parties, the First Minister is now hoping for more political consensus, this time calling for unity against what he described as the rise of the far right.
Storm clouds are gathering, we can all see them. The threat from the far right is real.
John Swinney told journalists that threat includes Reform UK, taking aim at the party's leader, Nigel Farage, describing his stance on immigration as being rooted in racism and linking him to Russia.
There is a very live and active threat to our security from the aggression of Russia. And I think Farage is, an accomplice to the Russian agenda.
Can we succeed?
After their electoral breakthrough at last year's general election, recent polling suggests Reform could be on course to win seats at Holyrood next year. The party dismissed the First Minister's remarks.
Well, it's laughable. I mean, the man's absolutely terrified by the huge surge in the polls of Reform UK in Scotland, and we're doing well because we're actually addressing the key concerns of the Scottish people.
The SNP is not alone in its concerns.
If there is an uptick in support for reform, some of it could come at the expense of the Labour Party.
One of the ways that we fight reform on the front line and the broader far right is we have to make sure that we have governments that can deliver for people, so they can have faith in our democratic process and what happens, and that's what a Labour government across the UK and a Labour government in Scotland would deliver.
After 18 years of this SNP government, I fear people don't think this Parliament can do anything, because all we've been talking about is division and independence. We need to get back to the day job, back to common sense, to actually deliver for our people across Scotland.
The First Minister's offering to bring together Holyrood's political leaders and Civic Scotland for a summit at the end of April. But with a year to go until the elections, will consensus prevail? Lindsay Bewes, reporting Scotland, Holyrood.
Well, we're joined now by our political editor, Glenn Campbell. Glenn, just picking up on that last point Lindsay made, how widely will John Swinney's offer be taken up?
Well, with the possible exception of the Conservatives who don't want to be drawn into what they think could be an SNP talking shop, I'd be surprised if there wasn't a near full turnout for this summit, not least because the opinion polls that suggest there is a surge in support for Reform UK to the extent that they could make a big breakthrough here at Holyrood in next year's elections. Those same polls suggest that it is the pro-UK parties, the Tories, Labour, possibly even the Liberal Democrats, that stand to lose most from a development like that. John Swinney, of course, will be concerned that a block of Reform MSPs here at Holyrood might make it more difficult to form a stable government in the Scottish Parliament, and he has made clear today that he sees Nigel Farage's party as being a threat to our culture of politics here because of their anti-immigration views, which he strongly disagrees with. Now, John Swinney's opponents will have concerns. Some are concerned that this initiative might amplify the views of the Reform Party, which could backfire. Others are worried about getting drawn into accepting John Swinney's leadership on this issue with a year to go to the Holyrood elections, fearing that that might make it harder for them to distinguish themselves from the SNP in the run-up to that vote.
OK, Glenn at Holyrood, thank you. Now, dogs, like this lively lot here, are for many people a member of the family. The Conservative MSP Maurice Golden has tabled a bill which, if passed, would make the theft of dogs a specific criminal offence. The Scottish Government said the existing law of theft already offers robust protection. Our political correspondent Phil Sim has more.
Their man's best friend, a faithful companion, even part of the family. But the law currently treats dogs as possessions. It is illegal to steal them, but does that reflect the importance they have to their owners? Katie runs a charity which supports people whose pets have gone missing.
When your dog goes missing in general, speaking from experience, you do have, like I say, or immediately you have the worst case scenarios, you have the feeling of dread. It's a horrible thing to experience, but when you know they've been stolen, even more so, it's horrible because the owners don't know where they can end up. They've been hundreds of miles away, they can be abused, they can be used for breeding. They're just not treated nicely at all.
After Bear disappeared from his garden in Irvine in January, owner Brian is offering a £20,000 reward for his return. You wouldn't do that for a household possession.
It's so hard just to go through your day not knowing where Bear is. A lot of people say, oh, you can replace a dog, but to me, he's more than just a dog. He is a part of your family and he's irreplaceable to me, which is why we're campaigning so hard to get Bear home.
Tory MSP Maurice Golden wants to create a specific law of dog theft, carrying a potential prison term of up to 5 years. It would essentially change how the law views dogs, from a commodity to a member of the family.
Obviously every party is against dog theft, but it could still be a struggle to get this through Parliament with only a year to go until the Holyrood elections.
Mr Golden is confident he can cross the parliamentary hurdles.
I think in terms of timetabling we can definitely get it through. I've got support from every party represented in Parliament and I'm hopeful and that parliamentarians will recognise that this is something that needs changed and work with me to do that.
The government says the existing law of theft offers robust protection for pet owners, but they will consider this proposal. The chase is on to see if it can get through Parliament. Phil Sim, reporting Scotland.
An East Lothian woman is celebrating making a full recovery from brain surgery after fears the operation would wipe her memory. 25-year-old Veronica Somerville had a tumour removed in July last year by the neurosurgeons at Edinburgh Royal Infirmary. She underwent a similar operation a decade ago and on that occasion lost all of her childhood memories. Our reporter Richard Forbes has been to meet her.
Veronica was 14 years old the first time they operated on her brain. But the surgery that saved her life also took away all of her memories. Even her mum and dad were strangers.
When I seen my parents, I didn't know they were my parents. It was just two strangers sitting across from me. My psychologist had to say to my mum and dad, I think the best way to look at it is the Veronica, the daughter you had before the surgery, is dead. She's not here. She is a different person and we need to learn who she is now and kind of get on with it.
Although her memories never returned, the tumour did. Over the next decade, it slowly grew back inside her brain. Eventually, the symptoms became so concerning that another operation was scheduled last summer, 6 months before she was due to get married.
There was a fear that she would forget her time with me and that, things would never be the same. Veronica prepared lots of notes in her phone. She even told me the password to her phone so that I could, go through it and try and help her remember the past.
Cameron and Veronica created this scrapbook full of photos so that if she did lose her memory, this would be a reminder of their life together.
We'll keep you safe, take good care of you, okay?
The 6-hour operation saw the surgeons trying to remove all of the tumour without taking away too much of the healthy brain tissue. As soon as she woke, Veronica knew things had gone smoothly.
It didn't even feel like I had a brain surgery this time round. I woke up, I was not in any pain, and everybody that I remembered was there.
The scan suggests that all trace of the tumour has been removed. So what's the memory that Veronica's happiest to have kept?
Probably my partner. Yeah, just us being together, and the fact that, like, back then I wouldn't even think that what I had right now was going to be possible for me. So to wake up and know that this is all mine and he's mine and I'm still here is probably that.
Richard Forbes reporting there, and you can get more on Veronica's story in the new series of Surgeons at the Edge of Life, which starts tonight at 9 p.m. on BBC Two. OK, Laura McGee is here with the sport. Big night for New Look Rangers.
Yes, it is indeed. Thank you very much, Laura. Good evening. Well, he hasn't had much time to settle in, but Rangers interim manager Barry Ferguson will be preparing his side for his first match as the club's head coach. Sheila McLaren is at Rugby Park, where Kilmarnock hosts the Ibrox side this evening. Sheila.
Yes, Laura, it's a new era which begins for Rangers tonight. 16 years after leaving the club, Barry Ferguson is back, this time in the dugout. And the challenge for him is to rebuild the confidence of a team which has fallen 16 points behind Celtic at the top of the table and is out of the Scottish Cup. Now, Ferguson may have had just over 24 hours or so to prepare his team for tonight, but he wants to start against Kilmarnock as he means to go on, although his former teammate Derek McInnes might have something to say about that. We've been speaking to supporters of both clubs.
I think Barry will bring in the right attitude and get these players out and get these boys playing, because they'll be kicked up off for weeks.
Looking forward to a change, to be honest, yeah. I think it'll be a good change. We can't be any worse than what we've been.
Rangers haven't been in much form lately. Hopefully Kelly can get the job done tonight.
Pretty exciting. I think it's going to be hard for Kelly tonight. Rangers are going to kick back with new manager and that, but it'll be good.
Well, there's plenty for Kilmarnock to play for tonight as they eye a place in the top six, and they'll take confidence from their recent home form against tonight's opponents. They've won 2 of the previous 3 meetings between the sides here at Rugby Park, although they did lose 6-0 when the sides met at Ibrox earlier in the season. Now, the teams are just in, and I can tell you that Rangers are sticking with the same side that started in that defeat to St Mirren on Saturday. It's not a match tonight for them that will turn their season around, but it might give a few indications as to what will lie ahead for the club in the next few months.
OK, thank you very much, Sheila McLaren at Rugby Park there. Well, sticking with Rangers, and the man thought to be behind a takeover of the club says his consortium are looking at investment options but wouldn't be drawn on their plans at Ibrox. The Leeds United chairman Parag Marathi, who also heads the investment wing of the San Francisco 49ers, is understood to be close to a deal to secure a controlling stake in Rangers. He's been speaking at an online Business of Football summit.
Yeah, I can't really comment on whatever rumors might be out there, but like I said, we are always looking at other opportunities. We have been, and I think it is doable to replicate the passion. What we are looking for is clubs with the right bones, clubs with the right history of success, clubs with the right potential for growth.
There are 4 other games in the Premiership this evening. The pick of those is at Tannadice. Dundee United have the chance to move into 3rd in the table if they can defeat 5th placed Hibernian. The Easter Road side will be looking to make it 14 games in a row undefeated. Hearts are up against St Mirren as both sides vie for a top 6 place. St Mirren travel to Tynecastle off the back of their win against Rangers, Philippe Clement's last game in charge. Motherwell boss Michael Wimmer will take charge of his first home game against a struggling Dundee who sit 1 place below them in the table. While St Johnstone hosts Ross County, the county boss Don Cowie has said he is not expecting an easy game against the bottom club and insists the Staggies are intent on extending their excellent away form. Now, what a season this man is having. Daisen Maeda added his 25th and 26th goals of the campaign as Celtic took another step towards defending their Premiership title with a 5-1 thumping of Aberdeen. The Japanese forwards double, along with goals from Jota, Callum McGregor and Yang Hyun-jun, moved the champions 16 points clear at the top of the table, and Maeda's manager, Brendan Rodgers, admits his Star Turns form will be attracting envious looks from other clubs. Scotland women's interim head coach Michael McArdle has said he would be ready right away should the Scottish FA decide to offer him the job long term. Scotland sit bottom of their Women's Nation League group after losing 2-1 to the Netherlands. Celtic's Emma Lawton put the hosts in front after 34 minutes, but 2 second-half goals from the Dutch secured the comeback victory. Scotland remained the only side in the group without a point, with an important double-header against group leaders Germany next. And all your Premiership coverage on Sportsound BBC Radio Scotland this evening.
Good stuff, thank you, Laura. Thank you. And Judith is here with the weather. We're trying to get in a bit early there. Must be good forecast tonight.
I think you're the only one that didn't get the memo about what to wear tonight. And that glorious. In fact, Northern Scotland saw some glorious sunshine today, and we've got more of that to come over the next couple of days as we approach the end of the month. A very good evening to you. Yes, but in the south we saw quite a lot of cloud. It was a weather front that brought thicker cloud and some outbreaks of rain embedded within that. But as you can see from the pressure chart, that wee front is going to move away quickly, allowing the high pressure to build in, settling our weather right down. And that will be for the next couple of days. Yes, this weather front crosses the country during the early hours of Saturday and pulling away on Saturday, allowing the high to rebuild once again. And that front only bringing a wee bit of rain. Now, as far as this evening is concerned, the last of any cloud and rain over the southeast clears away. We have a line of showers in the northwest. They'll continue to die away as well. For much of the country, it'll be dry with clearing skies pretty much across the board. A fairly widespread frost away from coasts. A bit more of a breeze for coasts and across the Northern Isles as well, keeping temperatures above freezing. Into tomorrow, it's a cold start and there will be a frost across many parts first thing. As we head through the day, it's generally a dry day with sunny spells. Yes, we'll see a few light showers drifting in across the Northern Isles at times with an occasionally fresh westerly wind. A bit more in the way of cloud coming around the top of the high for Caithness, but I think eastern Scotland from Inverness right across to Aberdeenshire, lots of sunshine, maybe the odd high ground shower, but that is about it. Further west, a wee bit more in the way of cloud at times, but again, the odd shower here and there, mainly for the west coast, perhaps the odd one getting into the Glasgow area. 9-10 Celsius, so you will notice the difference tomorrow, and with very little in the way of wind, it will feel pleasant in the sunshine. But again, a bit more of a breeze for the west coast, which will blow in 1 or 2 light showers. Into tomorrow evening, showers tending to ease, dry, lengthy clear spells once again. We're likely to see some mist and fog forming, especially across southern Scotland, and another pretty widespread frost actually forming as well. Into Friday, it's a cold start with a frost, some fog which could be quite stubborn down towards the Solway. Generally though, dry day with brighter sunny spells, cloud just about increasing over the Western Isles. It's that weak weather front which will sink across the country on Saturday, bringing some bits and pieces of rain, clearing away, brightening up, dry with sunny spells following on behind it. That's the forecast.
OK, thank you, Judith. And that is Reporting Scotland for now. Anne McAlpine will have your late news around 10:30 tonight. And don't forget, the news at 7 is just about to start over on the BBC Scotland channel. In the meantime, from everyone here, enjoy your evening.